In Full Zoom is presented to you by Calvo Enterprises, Inc.
Half a day, everyone. Nestor Licanto here with another edition of In Full Zoom. I'd like to welcome our guest for this week. He's Ben Ferguson. He is the general manager, of course, of the Pacific Islands Club. He's also the senior managing director of PHR Ken Micronesia, which owns and operates a bunch of different hotels on Guam. And he's also the event director of Guam Sports Events. Welcome, Ben. Half a day.
Half a day, Nestor. Good to see you.
So I've asked you to come on for a couple of reasons. One, not so good. One, pretty good. But let's start with the bad news first, if you will. So PIC announced yesterday that you had decided to permanently lay off about 119 employees and keep about 500 or so employees on furlough. Can you explain the reasoning behind that? I'm sure it must have been a very difficult decision.
Yeah, it certainly was a difficult decision, and it was a decision that took some time for us to process. You know, we've been in this situation now for 6 months, and we wanted to hold on as long as we could, but the longer we went through the process, we understood that a recovery is going to take quite some time. And so I think it's important to understand a distinction between a layoff and a furlough. For a layoff, those positions are positions that we were forced to eliminate, realizing that when we do start doing business again, that it's going to take quite some time for arrivals to return to what we would consider historical averages. And so in the interim, we've got this bank of furloughed employees that we will call upon as needed as occupancy gradually builds. We don't anticipate, though, with what we're seeing right now, that arrivals will reach historical levels probably until sometime in late 2021, maybe 2022. At that point in time, we would look at reinstating the positions that we laid off and then go out and try and rehire those positions.
Yeah, as you mentioned, you kind of alluded to, you're not anticipating a comeback right away especially from the key source markets. How will PIC manage in the meantime if you continue to have these really low numbers?
Well, you know, we like a lot of organizations are taking this opportunity to take a look at ourselves and work in ways in which we can improve our product and our services. Obviously, cost containment efforts are in full swing throughout our industry, and in particular at PIC. PIC is the largest hotel on the island. We had the most hotel employees going into the pandemic. So, you know, we're taking this opportunity to take a look at our product, and the team's working hard to develop ways in which we can come out of this as a better product and as something that perhaps has even more appeal to our consumers than we did previously.
Yeah, give us an example of that. I know PIC is known for your great water park there. How else would you kind of upgrade or maybe diversify your product?
Well, so PIC has always been a unique product on the island. We're the only product that I think you would term as all-inclusive. And so I think we're going to look to continue doing that type of thing and using that as a strength in the market. We also have a very active department within the organization. We call it our SEA department. So those are the club mates. For those of you that have been to PIC, you understand that that's a unique aspect of PIC. They bring a certain element to our product that other hotels and other competitors don't necessarily have. And so we're going to look to continue to build upon that. But we've had some very active discussions recently about ways in which we can add some additional attractions to our product. And in fact, prior to the pandemic, we were set to announce a new attraction that we were going to unveil here at PIC. I don't want to tell you about it. I'd rather we're going to keep that a secret for now. But that attraction and that product that we will unveil is going to happen, and we anticipate it happening once tourism starts coming back. But again, we're going to look to continue to let PIC be a unique product on the island, and look for ways in which we can attract additional demographics. We've historically been a family hotel. Going way back in time, we actually did quite a bit of business in a younger demographic. We're probably going to revisit that and look for ways in which we can attract the younger demographic together with the family market.
Yeah, you guys were kind of like the Club Med vibe at the PIC.
That's right. The origins of PIC certainly have some strong roots in Club Med.
You mentioned that PHR is one of the largest employers in the hotel industry with several thousand employees. What would you say is the morale right now? It can't be very good.
Well, it's a bit tough, Nestor. Obviously, with no arrivals to the island, our ability to bring back workers is really negated by that. Prior to this most recent lockdown, all of our hotels were open and doing business and doing resident business, and our hotels remain open. PIC remains open, and all of our hotels remain open, and we are doing some military business and some government business. And then, as I said, prior to the lockdown, we were doing resident business. So, I think our message to our employees is, to hang in there. We remain optimistic that things will come back sooner rather than later. We know that it'll come back a little bit slow. But as a group and as the largest hotel group on the island, we're doing everything we can to provide consumers in our source markets with optimism to come back and visit us. We do think that there's pent-up demand, and we do think that once these quarantines are lifted, we'll be able to start seeing business. And obviously for our employees, that means that there will be work for them again. And I think the other thing that we're doing organizationally is all of our HR departments and our HR teams are doing a great job of keeping in touch with employees, providing an open door to our employees, and providing them with assistance and consulting as it relates to trying to provide them with economic assistance and answering any questions they've got about the duration of the downturn that we're in, and trying to be optimistic when we can. And I think that's the key for us if we really want to remain optimistic and compassionate for the plight of our employees. It's a tough situation for all of us.
In Full Zoom is presented to you by Calvo Enterprises, Inc. GU Self-Storage, conveniently located near the Harmon McDonald's. We offer affordable rates, online payments, and auto bill pay for your convenience. Plus gate access daily from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. Call us today at 648-7867 for more information. In Full Zoom is presented to you by Calvo Enterprises, Inc.
Yeah, good on you. I'm sure they appreciate that very much. So what do you think the prospects are for recovery? You mentioned a little bit earlier that it's probably going to take a couple of years at least. What do you think are the prospects for a recovery, and maybe a time frame for it, and what's it going to look like?
Well, I'd like to think that Guam is uniquely positioned in terms of a recovery in that we're a short haul destination from our two primary source markets. I think that means a lot. I think longer haul destinations it'll be a little bit more challenging for the recovery for those destinations. Guam has so many tremendous assets and so many benefits for visitors from Japan and Korea and Taiwan and other destinations that all I think we need to do is capitalize on those strengths, continue to capitalize on those strengths, take the assets that we have and continue to look at them very closely and do everything that we can to ensure that when our visitors do come back, that when they visit our parks and when they travel around the island, that they see a Guam that we all want to represent, which is this beautiful island paradise. I think that obviously airlines are key to this whole process, and I know that there's active discussions within the Visitors Bureau on ways in which we can support our airline industry, because obviously the airline industry is hurting just as much as the hotel industry. And so, but I think, in terms of prospects for recovery, Guam's got a lot going for it, and it has a great place in people's hearts in our source markets. And so I'm optimistic that visitors from those markets will continue to love Guam and come back to Guam and see a side of Guam that maybe they didn't get to see before, post-pandemic.
Yeah, do you think there's going to be a need, or will there be a need to change how we market Guam to tourists?
I don't necessarily think, let's operate under the pretense that Guam, like other destinations, is going to do everything the right way in terms of safety protocols. And, I think I assume that as a given. But in terms of how we market to our source markets, I don't necessarily think that we need to change anything. I think we've got a great product. We've got a product that I think it'd be hard for you to go anywhere else and find a product that allows you to land at the airport and be at your hotel within 10 or 15 minutes. The proximity that we have to the airport, those strengths aren't going away. I think we just need to continue to underline those strengths and market the beauty of our island and the friendliness and warmth of our people to our visitors.
Yeah, and what can the government, the Guam Visitors Bureau, do to assist in this process?
Well, I think the leadership at GUB is having an active discussion about that. I think everything's been put on pause a little bit because of the recent uptick that we've had and the lockdown that we're in right now. But I know prior to that, there's a lot of active discussion about ways in which we're going to market the island and ways in which we can help support the airline industry so that we can get flights back to the island. As Milton said, a few weeks ago during a Zoom interview with you, the key to this is airlines. So, we need to support the airline industry, and without flights, we're not going anywhere. But I would like to think that political leadership is having great discussions internally about ways in which to support business on Guam, not just big business like hotels, but small business as well. We all need to be lockstep in the recovery process. And I'd like to think that there's some discussions going on relative to ways in which we can support an economic recovery of the industry in ways that we can mitigate some of the costs that we're all bearing right now.
Yeah, what are some examples of that?
Well, yeah, I think examples of that, the obvious examples are gross receipts tax and things of that nature. Now, that's a tough one. Obviously, the government is going to face the reality very soon of shortfalls in tax revenues. And so that's a challenging one, and I get that. But I'd like to think that there's ways in which our government, working together with the federal government, can seek ways in which we can, again, help offset some of the costs that businesses on Guam that are incurring right now.
In Full Zoom is presented to you by Calvo Enterprises, Inc. GU Self-Storage, conveniently located near the Harmon McDonald's. We offer affordable rates, online payments, and auto bill pay for your convenience. Plus gate access daily from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. Call us today at 648-7867 for more information. In Full Zoom is presented to you by Calvo Enterprises, Inc.
All right, let's change the subject to something a little bit more exciting.
A little light, please.
Yeah, a little lighter. Let's lighten the tone a little bit. So you have been involved, of course, in the United Guam Marathon for, I guess, since its inception for many years now. For those one or two people who are not familiar with the marathon, first of all, tell us a little bit about the history and background of it and how it grew to be as big as it is now.
Okay, funny note though, Nestor, it's funny because most people in the community, it's funny when I because of the event, and because of the exposure of the event, a lot of people feel as though my primary job on Guam is that of event director of the United Guam Marathon. They perhaps don't know that I'm the general manager of PIC. So that's kind of
you're known more for that than yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
You're a victim of your own success, Ben.
Indeed, yeah. Well, so the event actually started. So PIC had a running event that we created back in 1991. Believe it or not, we started a 5K back in 1991, and we ran that event for 20 years. So the PIC International Road Races ran from 1991 to 2011. We decided after 20 years of doing the event that we wanted to take a break and explore the possibility of creating a marathon for the island. Now, there's been a marathon on Guam for years and years and years, the Guam Marathon, a great event run by great people and organized by the Guam Running Club, and that event still exists today. But what we wanted to do is try and create an event that we could attract visitors to the island with, an international running event, similar to what we had done with PIC International Road Races. So in 2013, we launched the marathon event for the island, and at the same time included a half marathon, a 10K, and a 5K. And so since 2013, we've been running the event. So 2020 would have marked the 8th year of the event, and does mark the 8th year of the event, even though it's a virtual event. In 2018, we signed a deal with United Airlines to become the title sponsor of the event, and so it became the United Guam Marathon, and we've had a great relationship with United, and they've done so much to support the event. And so, I think, historically, we hit the mark in terms of what we were trying to accomplish in terms of bringing people to the island to share the beauty of Guam and to share the warmth of our people. Last year, we did over 2,000 international runners, which is great. It's a great economic infusion for the island, but it's also great and cheap marketing for the island as well.
Yeah, and all of those runners and all of their running clubs will hear about how great a time they had on Guam. And we've got 1,000 or more other local runners that also look forward to that every year.
Indeed. So typically there are over 4,000 runners that participate in the event. And the neat thing about the event is that it's a fairly even split between international runners and resident runners. This year has been a little bit different. Things got upended in February and March with the pandemic. And so we made the decision to first postpone the event until September in the hopes that we could actually conduct the event physically, but soon realized that wasn't going to be a possibility, and then created a virtual event, which is ongoing right now, which is a neat thing. And I think there's a lot of runners out there that are doing the event. I think thus far we've had over 300 runners that have completed their event and logged on to the website and input their results. Really cool. Also cool is that we have 15 countries that are represented in this year's event. We've had runners from as far away as Switzerland register for the event, which is really neat. So we take a lot of pride in that, and we think that it's a great marketing for our beautiful island.
Yeah, can you explain for the non-runners, like maybe me, how does a virtual marathon work?
So a virtual marathon. So our virtual event, again, 5K, 10K, half marathon, marathon. Our virtual event effectively allows runners that have registered for the event to go out and do their race distance and then report their results into a timekeeping system that we've got on the website. Now, obviously, it's the honor system, so we can't really ascertain whether or not someone has truly run a marathon. And so it's for fun. But we wanted to do something to provide those runners that have registered for the event something, to do and to reward them for all of the hard work that they put in. And as a result of that, obviously, we're going to provide them with all of those great things that you normally get, your T-shirt and your ditty bag and all of those great things. But, we wanted to keep people active. And so I think in that regard, we've been successful. If you're like me, I spend a lot of time in Tumon. Tumon has really just become a beehive of physical activity. It's really wonderful to see how many people are out exercising down here. And so, I think it's been great in that regard. And we're hoping that we don't need to continue doing a virtual event. Let's keep our fingers crossed that in 2021, we actually physically have an event in April.
In Full Zoom is presented to you by Calvo Enterprises, Inc. GU Self-Storage, conveniently located near the Harmon McDonald's. We offer affordable rates, online payments, and auto bill pay for your convenience. Plus gate access daily from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. Call us today at 648-7867 for more information. In Full Zoom is presented to you by Calvo Enterprises, Inc.
Yeah, certainly do. So you got any last messages for your employees first, and then about the participants for the UGM?
Sure. My message to our employees is we need you, and we need you to remain optimistic, and we need you to be there for us when we're able to bring you back. If you have any questions whatsoever, please reach out to us. We want you to reach out to us. We want to keep in close contact with you. And that's not just PIC's employees, that's all employees in the hotel industry. We're going to get through this. It's going to be a road. It's going to be a long road. It's similar to a marathon. We need to put our foot across the start line and start the marathon. We haven't done that yet. Those first arrivals that we see to the island are going to be critical to our success. We need to provide them with an experience like none other so that when they go back to Japan and Korea and Taiwan, they have amazing things to say about this island. And key to that are our employees. Our employees, our hospitality employees, are what makes Guam special. Yes, Guam's a beautiful place, but what makes Guam special are our employees. So please keep your chin up and hang in there with us. And we hope to be calling you soon and get you back to working. Now, as far as participants in the event, hey, you've got a few days left. The last day to do your virtual event is September 20th. Please get out and have some fun, run responsibly, and enjoy yourselves. It's a rainy day today, so some like to run in the rain, so maybe it's a good day to do your event. Hopefully the weather clears up this weekend, but we thank you for participating in the event, and we look forward to a great relationship with you in the years to come with the United Guam Marathon.
Thank you. Well said. And that's Ben Ferguson, who is not just the event director for the United Guam Marathon. He is also the general manager of the Pacific Islands Club and the senior managing director of PHR Ken Micronesia. Thank you so much, Ben, for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
In Full Zoom is presented to you by Calvo Enterprises, Inc.